So there was this one time I was hanging out with my friends in the big city. We saw this very elaborate ad for a breakfast place that sold pancakes with whipped cream. This was unusual because that's really not a common dish where we live, as much as it might be for you. I love me some delicious pancakes with whipped cream, so I eagerly suggested to my group that we should absolutely go to this place and enjoy some breakfast together. My friends didn't really like the idea at first. They thought these pancakes would be dumb. They argued that every other dish in this restaurant was dumb and that this would be no different. But I convinced them and off we went to get us some pancakes. We arrived at the restaurant and there were like a bunch of teasers that showed us the pancakes in all their glory and they looked delicious. I was hyped, I really wanted these pancakes now. And even my friends were like, yeah, we need this. Imagine our surprise when we sat there and they told us that there were no pancakes. So the other day, me and my friends decided to watch the Knuckles series. Now the weird part about that is we don't really like the Sonic movies, especially me. But while I don't think they're good, I just have fun watching them just by how insane they are, and the amount of wrong that they do is just pure entertainment for me. So when I watched the trailer for Knuckles, I was hyped. Because while I'm not a fan of Sonic, I do know everything about the series, and I do kinda like Knuckles, and I think it was the best part of the Sonic 2 movie. And the trailers were fun, we had, you know, Knuckles drinking coffee, Knuckles being dumb, Knuckles eating Doritos, driving a bike, wearing a cowboy hat or something. I thought it would be a delightfully dumb activity to watch this series with my buds, and well, on one hand, I wasn't wrong. We did have a bunch of fun just roasting this series. But on the other hand, this wasn't a Knuckles series. This was, in fact, the Wade series. Who's Wade, I hear you ask? Oh, he's the comic relief guy from the Sonic movies. The Knuckles series is about the comic relief guy from the Sonic movies. I'm not joking. Let's start at the beginning. The first episode is actually probably the best one in the series. We start with Knuckles doing some training and it's cool and all, and he does some goofy things back at the Sonic house. So yeah, Knuckles is sort of just having trouble settling and chilling. Sonic very annoyingly just tells him that he should relax, and so he talks with this ghost echidna who tells him that he should mentor Wade. And I didn't realize at the time, but that's literally what the show is about. Kinda. Because I mean, the show really focuses entirely on Wade. And from me saying this, you'd think that we at least would have Knuckles being sort of a mentor for him, but not really. Because the whole plot of the series is that Wade wants to go to this Las Vegas type place just to win a bowling tournament against his father, who left him when he was younger to be a professional bowler. And I mean, that's the plot of the Knuckles series. So the main story is not about Knuckles, it's about Wade. Knuckles is just there sometimes. I think my favorite scene was the fight scene at the end of the first episode, where Knuckles fights with these goons that have some weapons that are made of Knuckles. Literally.
Do I look like I need your power?
What are you talking about? Of course we need his power. It's the whole reason we're here.
The problem is that Knuckles is then captured, so the entire next episode is about Wade trying to free Knuckles. It's probably the worst episode. But that's sort of how the series goes. We have Wade being separated from Knuckles somehow, and then the episode is just about Wade trying to deal with some goofy shenanigans without Knuckles. And then Knuckles just sort of appears sometimes, like a jump scare, a Knuckles jump scare. I'm not joking when I say that Wade is the focus of the series. It's entirely about his family issues and struggles regarding his absent father. He has like a quirky Jewish family with a mother that is weirdly horny for Knuckles.
Thank you, Knuckles. I do Pilates 3 times a week. Wait, I like your friend.
Okay, weird.
And a sister that she's just an asshole. I hate her. She literally just stabs him with a fork for no reason, and we just sort of move on. They just brush it off, like, what? She keeps saying that she's from the FBI, and we kept expecting the series to reveal to us that she was lying the whole time about being from the FBI, but that just sort of doesn't happen. I mean, like, we're supposed to believe that every FBI agent just wears an FBI shirt for dinner with their family. And the weird part about this whole family thing is that it's not awful. While I think Wade can sometimes be a bit annoying, I don't hate him. He's a decent character, he's a nice guy, and the whole thing that he goes through with his father is interesting. Or at least it would be interesting if it wasn't the main focus of a series called Knuckles. Imagine catching this series on television mid-season with no context. You're watching this goofy family comedy with quirky characters, and then Knuckles just appears out of nowhere, and you're like, what? Because that's really what this series is. It's Wade's struggle, and Knuckles is just there sometimes. Knuckles almost has an arc. I hesitate to say that he's a nothing character because even if he barely appears, he's still cool whenever he does. He has some cool fight scenes and he's actually pretty funny. But the series starts with Knuckles struggling to settle down and stop fighting to just relax and find a home. And he's able to do that later on by interacting with Wade's family and becoming Jewish.
My people were killed by a race of giant owls.
Owls?
I'm now the last of my tribe.
Oh. Our tribe has been through some tough times too. Minus the giant owls. He's basically Jewish.
What the fuck am I watching? But it's by living with Wade's family that Knuckles learns his lessons. Except, I'm kind of being generous here, because this whole arc happens in like 3 scenes. The first one is with him realizing he has a problem. The second one has him watching movies with Wade's mom while she flirts with him. And the final one is him having a flashback of the whole series while fighting the final boss. So let's just say that they sort of speedrun Knuckles' entire arc. Because like I said, the focus of the series is Wade. And it's so out of nowhere too, because in the first episode, Knuckles actually does appear more than Wade. And we're made to believe that Wade will just be Knuckles' quirky sidekick in this goofy adventure, but it's more like Knuckles is Wade's quirky sidekick, as he tries to win this bowling tournament while being chased by some goons. Oh god, I forgot to talk about the villains. The series has a few bad guys. The most prevalent ones are these 2 idiots that use weapons made of Knuckles and used to work for Gun. Yeah, remember Gun from the Sonic games? They sort of betrayed Gun so they could kidnap Knuckles and sell him to this one dude that wants to use his powers to sell weapons. Yes, the villains in the Knuckles series want to traffic Knuckles. And they kind of only really fight Knuckles in the first and last episodes of the series. And then they die horrifically. I mean, I expected them to appear more, maybe? Like, there's a fight in the 3rd episode that you 100% would expect them to be the main threat of, but nope. It's literally some random goons that we never even see again. And in the 4th episode, the antagonist is this dude who apparently is like a real-life singer or something, because the entire episode is a musical with him singing about Knuckles. And Knuckles doesn't even appear. It does sing really well though, I'll give him that. I kept imagining Dan Evden from the Game Grumps instead of this guy in this role, and that would be really cool for me. But here, instead of Knuckles, we have Wade dressed as Knuckles. There's also a little girl playing a Nintendo Switch, and me and my friend just thought that it was very hilarious for some reason. I mean, just the pure irony of having a Nintendo console on a Sonic thing was really funny. And by the end of the episode, Wade kinda uses some superpowers for some reason. He shoryukens out of the cage using some superpowers, and then that's not brought up again ever. Like, he just uses that power and then we proceed to forget that ever happened. But like, this entire episode sums up the series pretty well. It's about Wade learning to deal with his problems and evolve as a person. And Knuckles is there too, sometimes. When we started watching the series, one of my friends told me he saw a review saying that there's like 2 episodes where Knuckles doesn't even appear, and he lied. It's more episodes than that. I'm not even joking. I think Knuckles appears in about 40% of the entire series, and the series name is Knuckles. By the final episode, me and my friends were just staring at the screen, waiting for something cool to happen, while the entirety of the last act is dedicated to Wade's bowling tournament against his dad. When there was like 7 minutes left in the episode, I think, Knuckles stops hanging out and just decides to fight a giant robot, I guess. And the giant robot is that one guy that wanted to make weapons made out of Knuckles. I kinda thought he would be an interesting antagonist with how much build up he gets, but then he just isn't. At this point we were like, finally, action, Knuckles action. Please, Knuckles series, just let me watch Knuckles do something cool, please. And then it cuts again to the bowling tournament. When there were like 3 minutes left, I think, we cut back to the battle when Knuckles fucking dies. Up until the point that Wade gives an emotional speech that concludes his quote-unquote arc, so he gets up and fights the bad guy. And the fight is really underwhelming. It kinda bores to tears, because at this point there's like 2 minutes left and half of that is credits. So Knuckles just sort of kills the bad guy with Wade's help and the series just ends. What an endeavor. This was definitely a series that I watched. Was it a Knuckles series? No. Oh god, no. Imagine how cool this series would have been if it was just about Knuckles traveling around the country while being chased by bad guys. I kinda thought that's what they were going to do, but no. Is it awful? No, it's not awful. I wouldn't call this series like bad. If you wanna watch like a quirky, goofy comedy series about a dysfunctional family's shenanigans, then this isn't a bad choice. But if you wanted to watch a series about Knuckles, then this isn't the place for you. Thanks for watching.